It's a cold, rainy evening in the heart of the city, and Elena, a sharp, determined young woman, steps into a dimly lit cafe, the sound of thunder rumbling in the distance. She's carrying a briefcase, tightly gripped in her hand, heading to meet a business partner. Unbeknownst to her, the cafe is more than just a meeting place. It's a front for the notorious Mafia family led by Vincenzo Vince De Luca, a powerful and feared figure in the underworld. Elena notices a man sitting alone in the corner, his sharp suit, dark hair, and intense eyes standing out among the crowd. It's him, Vincenzo. She doesn't know it yet, but their worlds are about to collide in ways neither of them could anticipate. Vince watches her with quiet curiosity, intrigued by the fire in her eyes as she walks past him. As she sits down at her table, her phone buzzes, revealing a message from her partner. Don't trust anyone, not even him. She freezes for a moment, the warning sinking in. Vince stands up and approaches her table, his presence commanding attention.
Vince, you're Elena, right?
Elena, calm but cautious. Who's asking?
Vince, let's just say, I'm a man who knows things.
Their eyes meet, and for a brief second, the air between them is thick with tension. Elena stands her ground, refusing to show any vulnerability. Later that night, Elena and Vince end up in a private room at the back of the cafe, where Vince insists they discuss business. Elena's mind is racing as she wonders if she's in over her head. Vince offers her a drink, but she refuses. She's not here to mix business with pleasure.
Vince, you're a smart one, Elena. You didn't come here just to be some corporate pawn. You have your own agenda, don't you?
Elena, everyone has their reasons. I'm just here for a transaction.
Vince leans back in his chair, his eyes never leaving hers. There's something magnetic about him, something that unsettles her.
Vince, smirking. You don't trust me, but you've never trusted anyone, have you? You've got walls built so high around you, not even I could get past them.
Elena, firm. And yet here you are, trying.
He grins, the smile dangerous and full of charm. The moment hangs between them, and something unexpected stirs, but Elena quickly shakes it off. As they discuss terms of the deal, Elena seeking leverage over a rival family, and Vince's family trying to consolidate power, there's an undeniable pull between them, but it's not just business anymore. The clock ticks down, and suddenly, gunshots erupt from the street outside. Vince's demeanor shifts immediately, his tough exterior giving way to a more protective instinct. He stands, signaling to his men to take action. Elena watches in stunned silence as the chaos outside intensifies.
Vince, or to Elena, his tone low but urgent. Stay here, don't move. But Elena, sensing danger, steps toward the door.
Elena, I'm not the kind of woman who hides.
He too find themselves standing side by side, facing the unknown. Vince's guards are scrambling outside, but his attention never wavers from her. There's something about her, something that makes him want to protect her, even as the storm of violence rages outside. As the shootout intensifies, Elena pulls out a gun of her own, surprising Vince. She's no damsel in distress.
Vince, amused. You came prepared.
Elena, I always do.
The tension between them is palpable now. Every glance is charged with something deeper, something neither can deny. Once the immediate danger has passed, they retreat to Vince's private office, where the weight of the night settles over them. Elena is no longer just a businesswoman to him. She's a mystery he wants to unrave.
Vince, I've spent my life trusting no one, Elena. But you're different.
Elena, coldly. I don't do relationships. Not in this world.
Vince, quietly. Then why does it feel like you've already broken my heart?
Elena's breath catches in her throat. She tries to turn away, but he gently takes her arm, pulling her back. The pull between them is irresistible now.
Elena, softly, because sometimes love is the most dangerous game of all.
Their lips meet in a kiss that's as passionate as it is inevitable. But just as quickly, Elena pulls away, eyes filled with uncertainty.
Elena, I can't be with someone like you, Vince. You're dangerous. You're a monster in disguise.
Vince, heart pounding, knows she's right. But the yearning inside him grows stronger.
Vince, gripping her hand. Maybe I am, but I'm not the one you should be afraid of.
Vince sits at his sleek, dark wood desk, staring out the window over the sprawling city. The weight of the evening's events lingers in the air. The chaos, the near-death experience. It all seems like part of the life he's chosen. But something about Elena keeps gnawing at him. She's not just any woman. Elena stands near the bar, pouring herself a drink, her eyes scanning the room.
Vince, noticing her wariness. You're not drinking?
Eleanor, not turning around. Not in your world.
Vince, and yet here you are, making deals with me.
She finally faces him, her eyes cold, but there's an unspoken acknowledgement between them.
Eleanor, firm. You know what I want, Vince. Power, control. But I'm not stupid. I won't get entangled in your mess.
Vince stands, walking over to her slowly. His movements are deliberate, but his voice softens.
Vince, I can offer you more than power, Elena. I can offer you safety, protection. He leans in closer. I can offer you a place by my side.
Elena's gaze flickers, but she quickly masks her thoughts, her posture stiff.
Eleanor, shaking her head. You're offering a prison disguised as power. I won't be your trophy, Vince.
Vince, smiling slightly. Then what do you want?
Eleanor, looking away. Freedom. And to take down the people who tried to use me.
Vince pauses, contemplating her words. The air grows heavier.
Vince, quietly. Then we have a deal, but know this, Elena. Once you're in, there's no easy way out.
Elena finds herself in a secret underground garage, surrounded by sleek black cars and the distant hum of the city above. Vince has asked her to join him on a mission to eliminate a rival's key lieutenant, someone who's been sabotaging Vince's operations. As she approaches the blacked-out vehicle parked at the far end, Vince steps out from the shadows, dressed in a sharp leather jacket. His expression is unreadable.
Vince, holding out a gun. You ready for this?
Eleanor, nodding. I've been ready for years.
They drive through the rain-slick streets, the tension thick between them. Neither says a word. There's a quiet understanding in the air. Elena is no longer a stranger to this world. Vince watches her out of the corner of his eye, impressed by how she's handling the situation. As they approach the enemy compound, Elena's heart races, but there's no turning back. She steps out of the car, her footsteps steady and unwavering. Vince signals to his men, and they move quickly, surrounding the compound.
Vince, low voice. Stick close. Don't get caught up in the chaos.
Elena stays by his side as they enter the building, moving through the dark hallways with lethal precision. She's not afraid. She's not alone. And Vince notices it, the way she moves with him, trusting him despite her doubts. Finally, they corner the lieutenant, who's ready to fight. It's a tense standoff.
Lieutenant, grinning. You think you can take me down, Vince? You've already lost.
Vince, coolly. Not yet.
A gunshot rings out and the lieutenant falls. Elena watches, her face emotionless, but inside, the seed of something dark grows. Back at Vince's penthouse, both Elena and Vince stand in front of a window that overlooks the city. The air feels heavy, as if something's about to crack between them. Elena hands Vince a file with the final details of their operation, but her hand lingers on his for a moment too long. Their eyes meet, and the silence speaks volumes.
Eleanor, quietly. I'm not afraid of dying, Vince. But there's something I'm terrified of.
Vince turns to her, his expression hardening.
Vince, what's that?
Eleanor, losing myself. I've seen what this world does to people. I've seen what it does to you.
Vince steps closer, his presence overwhelming. Vince, softly. I won't let you lose yourself. Not while I'm around.
Elena, shaking her head. I don't believe you.
There's a long pause, and then Vince does something unexpected. He gently cupped her chin, forcing her to look at him. Vince, seriously. I don't lie, Elena. You've made a choice, and now I'll make sure you survive it.
She gazes at him, her heart racing. She wants to believe him, but the darkness of his world is too much.
Elena, whispering, but will I be the one to survive?
Vince receives intel that a close associate, someone he considered a friend, has been leaking information to their rivals. He decides to handle it personally, bringing Elena along to show her the weight of his decisions. They arrive at a secluded warehouse. Inside, the betrayer, Marco, is tied to a chair, his face bruised but defiant.
Vince, coldly. You thought I wouldn't find out, Marco?
Marco spits at Vince's feet.
Marco, sneering. You're nothing but a puppet, Vince. You think you control everything? I'm just ahead of the game.
Vince gestures to his men, signaling that Marco's fate is sealed. But Elena steps forward, her voice unwavering.
Eleanor, to Vince. No, I want him to answer for what he's done. Make him beg.
Vince raises an eyebrow, surprised by her sudden shift. But he respects it. Vince, smirking. You've got a spine after all. Fine.
The scene becomes a twisted mix of psychological games, with Elena and Vince taking turns questioning Marco. The power dynamic shifts, and for the first time, Elena feels a sense of control in a world that's usually dictated by fear. Finally, Marco cracks, spilling everything he knows.
Eleanor, to Vince, softly. This is the world you've chosen, isn't it?
Vince, I didn't choose it, but it chose me. And now, it's choosing you too.
Elena is alone in the apartment, staring out at the city. Vince walks in, his face grim from the events earlier that day. He approaches her cautiously, sensing the weight of the moment.
Vince, you're not afraid, are you?
Eleanor looks at him, her expression unreadable. Eleanor, softly. I should be. But I'm not. Not anymore.
Vince steps closer, his presence all-encompassing. He takes her hand, his thumb gently brushing over her knuckles.
Vince, then stay. Stay with me. We'll build something powerful together.
Eleanor, what are we building, Vince? What's left for us?
Vince whispering, everything, if we take it. Their lips meet, the kiss fierce and full of promises neither can escape from.
This love story combines high stakes, deep emotions, and the tantalizing mix of danger and romance that makes Mafia stories so irresistible.